The fall of Atlantis, myth or reality? Hello, dear viewers. Today, we're going on an exciting journey to unravel one of humanity's greatest mysteries, the myth of Atlantis. This story, first told by Plato more than 2,000 years ago, still raises numerous questions. Was Atlantis a real civilization that sank into the ocean, or is it merely an allegory created to teach us important life lessons? Why does this mystery continue to inspire scientists, writers, and filmmakers? Perhaps it's because the idea of a highly advanced society that perished due to its own mistakes makes us reflect on our future. Join us as we search for the traces of Atlantis to discover where this mysterious island was located, why it perished, and why its story is still relevant to us today. The story of Atlantis begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who lived in the 4th century BC. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he described a powerful civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time. The foundation of the story was a legend allegedly passed down by Egyptian priests to the Athenian legislator Solon, and then, through generations of philosophers, to Plato himself. Plato portrays Atlantis as a vast island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which are now considered the Strait of Gibraltar. It was a flourishing civilization with extensive fertile lands, advanced infrastructure, and impressive military forces. Atlantis was a combination of natural beauty and architectural splendor. At the center of the island stood a magnificent city built around a large hill. The hill was surrounded by concentric rings of water and land, making the city impregnable. At the center was the temple of Poseidon, the god of the seas, and a statue of the god harnessing 6 winged horses. Plato goes into great detail describing the grandeur of this civilization, highlighting its wealth, precious stones, and abundance of natural resources. According to the myth, the Atlanteans were descendants of Poseidon and a mortal woman named Cleito. Poseidon divided the island among his 10 sons, making them kings. They ruled peacefully and justly, and their prosperity was based on following the laws and maintaining harmony. However, over time, the Atlanteans changed. Instead of wisdom and nobility, they became consumed by pride and greed. They sought conquests, invaded lands around the Mediterranean, and attempted to dominate the entire world. This angered the gods, who decided to punish them. The role of Athens in the history of Atlantis. Plato emphasizes that Athens was the main opposing force to Atlantis. In his myth, the Athenians represented an ideal state capable of resisting the aggression of a powerful civilization. This opposition symbolized the struggle between good and evil, justice and tyranny. In the end, thanks to their bravery and unity, the Athenians were able to defeat the Atlanteans before the gods destroyed them. Plato was not a historian. His goal was not so much to describe real events, but to use the myth to illustrate his philosophical ideas. In his works, Atlantis symbolized both the greatness and the fall of civilizations that lost their moral values. Plato sought to show that no power or wealth can save a society that loses its virtues and harmony. His myth served as a warning to the people of his time. Could Plato have based his story on real events? Some researchers believe that Plato may have drawn inspiration from real natural disasters that occurred in ancient times. For example, the eruption of the volcano on Santorini. This event occurred approximately 1600 years before the Common Era and led to the destruction of the Minoan civilization, which was highly advanced and deeply connected to the sea. Earthquakes and tsunamis in the Mediterranean. These disasters could have formed the basis for the myth of the sunken island. There are also theories that Atlantis could have been an allegory rather than a real place. For instance, some believe it symbolized the island of Crete or even the Athenian Empire itself, and the story of its downfall served as a way to warn Plato's contemporaries about pride and greed. And the fall of Atlantis is the central element of the myth, giving it a tragic and mystical character. This event has sparked many debates, speculations, and interpretations. Why did Atlantis fall? Was it punishment from the gods, a natural catastrophe, or the result of the ambitions of its people? Let's explore the main versions, the first version of the fall. According to Plato, divine punishment and a moral lesson. Despite its greatness, Atlantis fell victim to its own greed and pride. Plato asserts that the people of Atlantis lost the virtues that once made them powerful and became greedy and ambitious. They decided to conquer the lands of the Mediterranean, threatening other civilizations, including Athens. The gods, observing the degradation of the Atlanteans, became enraged. As punishment for their moral decline, they sent a devastating catastrophe. According to Plato, Atlantis sank into the sea during one terrible day and night due to earthquakes and floods. This disaster was so powerful that the island disappeared, leaving only vast shoals that made it impossible for ships to sail. It's important to note that Plato used this myth as a philosophical allegory. He saw Atlantis as a warning that any civilization, no matter how powerful, can fall if it loses its moral principles. This story served to illustrate his ideas about justice, virtue, and the need for harmony in society. The second version, natural catastrophes. Many scientists associate the fall of Atlantis with real natural phenomena that could have destroyed an entire civilization. The eruption of the volcano on Santorini. One of the most popular hypotheses is the eruption of Thera volcano on the island of Santorini around 1600 BC. This eruption was so powerful that it caused global climate changes, destroyed the Minoan civilization on Crete, and may have served as the prototype for the legend of Atlantis. Plato might have heard about these events through oral traditions that became mythological over the centuries. Earthquakes and tsunamis. The Atlantic Ocean is known for its seismic activity. An earthquake could have led to the destruction of an island or group of islands. Such events could have caused massive tsunamis that flooded coastal lands and wiped out traces of civilization. An example is the 17th earthquake that destroyed Lisbon and caused a tsunami that reached the shores of Africa and America. Changes in sea levels. Geological studies show that sea levels have fluctuated significantly in ancient times. There is evidence that large areas of land in the Atlantic Ocean could have been submerged due to melting glaciers or tectonic activity. Atlantis, myth or reality? Contemporary debates. The fall of Atlantis still sparks heated debates among scholars, historians, and mystery enthusiasts. Lack of evidence. Despite extensive research, no concrete evidence of Atlantis has been found. Some argue that this confirms the mythical nature of its fall. Underwater discoveries. In recent decades, numerous underwater ruins have been discovered on the ocean floors, inspiring researchers to continue the search. The Bimini Road in the Bahamas and other underwater formations are often associated with Atlantis, though the scientific community remains skeptical. Connections to other legends. Legends of sunken lands appear in various cultures, such as the city of Aram in Arab myths or ancient Indian Dwarka. This may suggest that the story of Atlantis was part of a broader tradition reflecting humanity's memory of natural disasters. Atlantis as a metaphor. Plato created not only the story of a fallen civilization, but also a powerful lesson for his time and for ours as well. Atlantis serves as a warning of how pride and an unrestrained desire for power can destroy even the most successful societies. It also symbolizes a utopia, a dream of a perfect society that is always unattainable. Conclusion: the fall of Atlantis is not just a myth. It is a captivating mystery that has intrigued people for centuries. It remains one of the most famous and discussed stories in world culture. The story of Atlantis combines greatness, tragedy, and an elusive mystery, which makes it compelling to researchers, philosophers, and artists. This myth not only tells of destruction, but also offers us much to ponder. Why do great civilizations disappear? What lessons can we learn from their rise and fall? Atlantis is a story about human pride, greed, and the disruption of harmony with nature. It reminds us that no power, no matter how great, can resist the law of nature. But perhaps the most valuable aspect of this legend is its ability to inspire. The myth of Atlantis has become a symbol of the quest for truth, the unknown, and the lost. Each of us can see something personal in it, a lesson, inspiration, or simply a fascinating tale of ancient times. And though there is no definitive answer to the question, myth or reality, this is what makes the story of Atlantis so thrilling. Perhaps the answer lies at the bottom of the ocean or in the depths of our imagination. For now, as we continue to ask questions and form hypotheses, Atlantis lives on in books, films, legends, and of course, in our hearts. Thank you for watching this video and joining me on an incredible journey to uncover the ancient mystery of Atlantis. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and comment with your thoughts on the existence of Atlantis. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch more videos about myths, legends, and mysteries that shape the history of humanity. Together, we'll embark on even more thrilling explorations of ancient secrets.